CityCast Pittsburgh is supported by Fulton Commons. If you're looking for a gorgeous co-working space with lots of light and some truly wonderfully funky decor, check out Fulton Commons on the north side. The historic but very well renovated old school building is deep in the neighborhood by a park, tucked away but still super close to anywhere you want to be. They've got offices and common spaces. It's perfect for organizations or individuals, and they even have a shared food production kitchen on site. So there's lots of food-related events for their members. If this sounds like your dream co-working space, visit fultonpgh.org to request a tour. CityCast Pittsburgh is brought to you today by Barrel and Flow. It has been voted America's best brew festival by USA Today year after year, and I can completely see why. I have been before, and it just keeps getting better. This year is the 5th edition, and it's coming with a full week of events. So the rivers, our shores, so much of the Steel City being celebrated here. It begins with a commemorative vinyl release. There's a midweek day party, a boat ride, a business conference, and it culminates with a 9-hour beer festival celebrating Black culture through music, art, food, small business vendors, and over 75 breweries from all across the country. Check it out and buy your tickets today at barrelandflow.com. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh. Did you know that we are the birthplace of American whiskey? The Tennessean in me recoils at this, but it is true. And here lately, these hundreds of years later, our local distilleries are branching out to make all kinds of spirits. So besides sipping on the goods, you can also take tours, get a firsthand look at how they're made, and in all kinds of spaces, from these big multi-million-dollar facilities to itty-bitty mom and pops. Today, I am with our newest team member and occasional bartender to talk about some of the best distillery tours in the region. It's Thursday, August 7th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I am here with Zach Durkin, I think the newest member of the extended CityCast Pittsburgh family. Zach, we are so stoked to have you. I know you mostly work with headquarters, but still, you are part of the Pittsburgh crew.
Thank you. I'm glad you accept me as such.
And if you have seen CityCast out and about in recent months, you have also seen Zach too. You've been such a visible part of our crew. We're so excited about it. I guess before we get into the specific tours that you're recommending, what is your pitch for going on a distillery tour at all? Because you could just go to a bar and drink, but this is a different thing.
Yeah, distilleries are such a unique experience because we're so used to the products and they're just kind of everywhere. Everything from whiskey, rum, all vodka, all of these things are made right here in Pittsburgh. Which
I don't think most of us think about, that that many spirits are produced here. We have this whole history of the Whiskey Rebellion or whatever. We like that, but I don't think everybody thinks about not just drinking it here, but making it here.
Absolutely. And so that's part of what is so cool is you get to see all the differences between different distilleries and what grains they're using affect the flavors and the types of products they're making. But also, as you already mentioned, the Whiskey Rebellion is such a big part of Western Pennsylvania's history. And liquor is just so historical. If you... Truly.
We're studying. We're learning our history when we go to the bar.
We really are. I mean, if you think about it, people couldn't drink water. Water wasn't always potable. What could you drink? A distilled product. That was what was safe. So whiskey, rum, super historically relevant. Monongahela rye specifically was known across the country throughout the 17 and 1800s, and that was made right here in this region. So those are two reasons. Another cool reason, I think, is when you take a tour, you're really going to learn not just the history, but also get a sense of the region and the types of products that they're offering. So traditionally in this region, rye whiskeys. And we really are the birthplace of American whiskey with that. So I know that I'm going to sound very pretentious here, but the idea of terroir in wine has been, used for years. But now that idea of like the natural environment where something is produced has started seeping into like spirits, and people are taking that more seriously.
That was very punny. I love that. Does Pittsburgh have like a vibe in that way? Like, of course there's the history, like the Monongahela rye, but like, I don't know, like, do we have like a taste or a thing that we're known for at this point? Or is it still kind of burgeoning, I guess?
I would say it's still rise, really. A lot of the distilleries here, that's a lot of what they're focusing. Not exclusively, lots of bourbon, of course, too, because that's where people's taste buds are, but lots of rye.
Do you think that people know that outside of Pittsburgh? Like, I mean, when I talk to friends that aren't here, like if they think of bourbon whiskey, it's like it's Kentucky, it's Tennessee, it's not usually Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I did used to work at one of the local whiskey distilleries here at Wiggle for a couple of years, just like a once-a-week bartender. But that was one of the questions that would happen all the time. How do you have bourbon here? You're not in Kentucky.
They take it really seriously.
Yeah, they think it's an actual law that bourbon needs to be made in Kentucky, and it doesn't. It does need to be made in the U.S., though.
Yeah. I knew that there was some kind of rule about it. Like you can't call something champagne unless it's made in the Champagne region a certain way in France, right? But not a thing. That's not a thing. You're here to myth bust.
Yeah, no, does have to be in the U.S., and it has to be 51% corn to be bourbon and in new charred oak barrels. And then there's some other rules that are really specific that most people aren't going to remember anyway. So we just skip those.
But there's flavor, there's like a taste profile, and that's what can be different like from place to place. I mean, how are the distilleries here in Pittsburgh? I've actually done a lot of tours of places in Tennessee and Kentucky, but like I don't think I've actually ever done one up here, which is to my own disgrace, I guess. Like, what is the vibe here in Pennsylvania? How do they tend to work?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on where you're going, because we have big, modern, beautiful facilities, and then we have very family-run small operations, and they both have amazing things to offer. So there's not one thing that you can expect at all from any type of distillery.
I mean, that's pretty true to our neighbors down south as well. Let's get into the actual recommendations. Where would you take us first on this fictional guide to distilleries here in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, so I'll start with one of the newest facilities we have. Opened in March of 2023 is actually Iron City Distilling. Now, you know the beer, but this is the distilling company.
And that's a name that everybody here in town knows, like, because they go back, at least the beer part, like well over 100 years.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, you can't escape Iron City, especially recently. They've had such a good comeback, and I've loved what they've done with the brand. And now they've expanded to spirits as well. So when they built that new facility out in Crichton, I've heard both.
Same. Yeah, me too.
Okay. Good. So they, when they built that new facility out there for the beer, they also built this distillery as well. So it's actually located in the original boiler room for the PPG plate glass company that was built there in 1883.
Yeah. And I mean, if this sounds familiar to any of yins, you might have seen it like driving north on 28. It is a huge facility right there on the river. Like you really can't miss it if you do drive by it.
Yeah, it is a massive facility, and it is so cool when you get up to it. You're just like, it feels kind of like if you're going to like, if you could imagine Willy Wonka's chocolate factory
but
and
for
just
booze.
Exciting. Exactly.
I've never actually been inside though, as many times as I've driven by it. So what should some folks expect, I guess?
Yeah, so this one's interesting too, because they obviously do have the brewery on site as well, and that's actually where the tour starts. So you get kind of a 2-for-1. You'll go through and see this amazing brewery with their giant facility there, and you'll get to see the canning, and they have some good kind of cool photo op areas as well. And then they take you outside where you'll see the river, which is right where the distillery is. So as I mentioned, it's the boiler room, but then they've refit it with just giant glass windows so the light comes in and then hits all the copper on the stills, and it's just shiny, and it just makes everything look so enticing in there. One of the unique things that they have too is that they have one of the only operational 3-chamber stills in the entire world.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a pre-prohibition style still that allows for higher PSIs, so then you have higher extraction from the rye. So it just makes a different product. And crazily, we're one of the only places in the world, like truly, to have this.
Interesting. Okay. I love it. So a lot of history, but also like new and shiny. And again, like kind of goes back in time in terms of how they make it.
Yeah, and so that is partly what they're doing. They have, again, a real focus on the rye, that 3-chamber still. A lot of their grains are actually coming from Ohio, so still regional. You'll notice that with a lot of the distilleries in the region. They're really focusing on trying to be regional, and again, with that like terroir type of idea.
I mean, one of the fun things to me about like how, like you're talking about that regionality, right? Like how some of that stuff works is also like how you don't think about all the things that can be made like that. Like, I mean, all the things that are made in like Jack Daniel's barrels, for example, like you can get those kinds of products from all over and integrate them in different ways.
So you mentioned the barrels, and that's one of the cool things too, is they have their rick house on site, which not all the distilleries here locally do. So you get to go in and they have a 10,000 barrel capacity rick house. They have about 2,000 barrels in there right now, at least when I went last month. So cool to see that. And then this was also the room where they gave you tastings throughout the tour, but here you got to taste a whiskey pecan turtle from Valos Chocolate that they collaborated on, and that was delicious.
So Zach, where else should we go? What other distilleries are you really excited about here in the Pittsburgh region?
Yeah, I would say it's a new facility. A lot of the distilleries, actually, when you start looking at it, have had glow ups recently. So in 2023, Maggie's Farm Rum Distillery moved to Upper St. Clair. This is not one I've actually gotten to get to yet because there's just too many here in Pittsburgh.
It's okay. We love an aspirational list around here.
Absolutely. Well, they started right down the street from one we already mentioned earlier, Wiggle Whiskey. They started right on Smallman. They were one of the early distilleries here in Pittsburgh as well. They opened in 2013 originally, and they were Pennsylvania's first commercially available craft rum distillery since Prohibition, because it's not all about whiskey.
Right. And honestly, like Maggie's Farm's products are so good. Like they're one of my favorite rums. They have a pineapple one right now that's for sale that like, I know sometimes people feel types of ways about like flavored spirits, but like it is so good. Their falernum is amazing. And it's in so many cocktails all over town.
That's one of the secrets here in Pittsburgh and bartending, it feels like, is how many places are using Maggie's Farm rum's falernum. It's everywhere.
It's because it's so complex and weird, but you can also just like sip it if you want to. It's a really interesting spirit. It's totally worth checking out.
It is such a cool spirit. So yeah, they moved to this giant new facility in Upper St. Clair in 2023. So the tour, when you take it, will feature a tasting glass and a cocktail. And then they also have a full service restaurant on site, which I don't know about you, but I love.
No, we really like a restaurant option as we're drinking, especially. And again, I think like their cocktails, like what you can make with them, just like kind of lend themselves to like, you know, a food pairing. I don't know. I'm excited about this.
So kind of sticking in the strip, because that's where Maggie's Farm started, Wiggle Whiskey, which I think is what a lot of people here in Pittsburgh are going to think of when they think of whiskey distilleries locally.
I mean, they did the work, right? Like they were one of the first to open here. Like they had to educate so many Pittsburghers on like our history. You know, we talked about the Whiskey Rebellion, but like, I mean, we make jokes about it, but I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten what that was. Like it's post-Revolutionary War. We didn't want to pay our soldiers as this young new nation. And Pittsburgh was like, oh, you don't want to pay us? We'll hold you for ransom and not give you your booze. Like, I mean, it is kind of fascinating, right? And Wiggle did the work of trying to teach people about that.
Yeah, they were really instrumental in the local whiskey industry being what it is today, truly here in Pennsylvania. People who started it did a lot of the work, pushing for the government to change laws to allow for these local craft distilleries with some other distilleries as well, but they were one of the people leading it. So their tour, as you mentioned, they really embrace, clearly with their name being named after one of the ringleaders of the Whiskey Rebellion, Philip Wiggle. So they really lean into the history here locally.
And they have that little space like kind of off to the side where I've been to events there where they like do their own cocktails and things like that. And they give you like the mini version of the history. I mean, what do you think? Like, I imagine you probably either experienced or saw, or I don't know, Zach, maybe you had to lead one of these things. Like, is it worth the hype? Are they, as the OGs, do they still stand up to the test of time?
Yeah, I absolutely think they do. I think that Wiggle is honestly going to be one of the best places for people to start. They really give you a more comprehensive look at like the different types of whiskey, showing you the different types of grains, and they'll have that on site so you can like smell it and feel what these different grains are going to be like. And then you can see how that then changes and when it becomes whiskey and how that adds to the flavors.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of a good place to start for most people. You'll also get a flight at the end of the tour. And then they also have a restaurant on site.
And Zach, actually, you said something to our team off mic that I think is really important. I have heard people disparage Wiggle before because it is owned by Bob Nutting, the owner of the Pirates. And we have talked about Bob and his role many times on the show before. But I thought you had such an excellent point about Wiggle and how to support them. I would want you to share it here.
Yeah, the way I look at it is like Bob isn't going to notice, Bob being Bob Nutting, is not going to notice whether you go and spend a few dollars on whiskey or food. But who will are the servers and the bartenders that work really hard there every day. So when you go and you buy from them and leave tips, they're the ones who are going to be supported and feel it if Pittsburghers don't show up for them. They're the ones really hurt.
Today's show is brought to you by Overlook Maps. If you need an easier way to remember that amazing little cafe you found last summer or a perfect hiking spot that your friend told you about, I have good news for you. With Overlook Maps, special places never get lost again. You can create personal lists of places you've been or want to go. Build your must-visit list for your next vacation, your favorite restaurants for nights out, or your getaway ideas when you need to escape. I have personally been DIYing this exact thing since I was in college using Google Maps, and y'all, that is not what Google is best at. My lists are kind of a mess, completely dependent on the notes I did or did not remember to write down at the time, and until now, it was my only way to record all the cool things I had done or wanted to do. I am so excited because Overlook Maps has solved for something I have wanted in my life for years. It's a way to remember, to categorize, to find the best spots for me and my crew because they have so many curated layers that you can check out, from Michelin guides to the New York Times and eater recommendations. You can even make your own private lists, keep your own secrets, or share with friends and collaborate about the places that you are most excited to check out as a group. You can even put in food preferences, and Overlook Maps will make the recommendations. And they have a routing feature that will tell you where you can eat in the direction that you are already headed. I have been begging the universe for this thing for so long, and Overlook Maps has delivered. Icing on the cake, there are no ads. No one's selling your data to advertisers, just amazing spaces and places organized exactly how you want them. Overlook Maps. Collect, organize, and share the places that matter to you. Download it for free at overlookmaps.com and check out overlookmaps.com/Pittsburgh to see some of our favorite spots on a map and in your pocket. Your places, your way.
Ah, Smart Water. Pure, crisp taste.
That's really good water.
It's the kind of water that says, I have my life together.
I do feel more sophisticated.
Smart Water. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
I think next, am I right? We're going to go a little bit south of the city?
Yeah, we're going to go on a little road trip, but a very worthwhile road trip. So we're going to go down to Liberty Pole Spirits in Washington. It started in 2016. It was actually a retirement project for Jim, the founder, and then his whole family just works together on it. So super family run product that they have there. They expanded in 2023 to a new gorgeous facility. And like Wiggle, they're one of the ones that pay a lot of homage to the history. So you'll notice on site, they have a restaurant and bar that's modeled after an 18th century roadhouse. So great to have a drink in. It just feels so like homey. And that's a wonderful room. You'll notice on site they have an upside down picture of Alexander Hamilton because he was originally running the treasury when the excise tax was put on whiskey here in Pennsylvania. So still, even in the whiskey world, they love to play on that history and kind of hate on Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of their stuff on social the last few years. I mean, they really lean hard into kind of the like Revolutionary War imagery, for example. But I've never had any of their offerings. The cocktails looks and sound so good. Like they're one that I've noticed, like they change up their menu a lot. They really lean into like seasonal ingredients, and everything is just really beautifully photographed. I don't know who runs their social account, but it's 10 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah, they do an excellent job out there. And their ryes, for me, are really what steal the show. Their ryes are absolutely delicious. And they put a lot of work into it. One of the cool things about them, too, is that they have a 3,600 barrel rick house that they actually brought a company in from Kentucky to build. So it's like that legit. The amount of effort and focus they've put onto creating real products is very cool. And I just love walking through rick houses and imagining what's happening in those barrels.
In the barrels?
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's so exciting. As the temperature changes, it's sucking up that liquid and then pushing it back out. And that's why whiskeys are going to get those smoky, dark, woody flavors is because they're actually going in and out of the barrels over time.
Zach, if I ever take a distillery tour in Pittsburgh, you are absolutely coming. There's no way I'm doing this without you now. Where else are we going on our tour?
Yeah, McLaughlin Distillery is another family-run facility right in the Swickley Hills, so right outside of Pittsburgh. When I went, the tour was actually given by Kim McLaughlin himself, who started the distillery in 2016. They really focus on a lot of flavored moonshines. So
I was going to say, that's what I've seen in the stores like for years now, because like if you go into like one, they have them in the Fine Wine and Good Spirits, but also like if you check out the like local PA made shops that, are around, like there's one in the Strip District, for example, you always see a ton of their products on the shelves.
Oh, and there is a ton. I mean, they have like over 40 different flavors.
Of just the moonshine?
Of all of their different products.
Oh,
but
my
yeah,
gosh.
A lot of that is just flavored moonshines. So you can try basically anything there. If you're not a whiskey person, that is such a good place for you to go. But they do have really good bourbons as well. One of their products, actually, cask strength baby barrel bourbon, won double gold at the World Spirit competition in San Francisco. So super tasty. And one of the other unique things about them is they actually make a lot of their barrels right on site. So Kim will kind of walk you through how they do that, which is a very unique experience to have because most people are buying their barrels and having them brought in from like a different cooperage.
Yeah, I'm looking at their website now, just like for a sense of these like flavors that you were talking about. First of all, they clearly have a lot of fun with their names, like Hokey Pokey Pineapple Lime Moonshine.
Yes. There's Grandma's Rocking Chair. That is a whiskey.
Yeah, let's see. Pink lemonade. We've got some, a pickle. I don't know about that. Jalapeno. I mean, gosh, it is really everything. Like I've had a lot of like watermelon and strawberry and lemon over the years, but like this takes it to the next level. Olive lovers, pumpkin pie. Like, okay, they're really reaching here.
Yeah, this tour is very different. I mean, as I said, Kim gave it himself, and it's filled with just little jokes and quips as you're going through. The whole thing is like generally a very wholesome experience, actually, as you're going through. One of the fun things I think that they've done is, so they have 6 grandkids, and each of them has their own barrel with their name on it that's going to age. It's going to age for 21 years, and then they're going to open it when they can drink it.
I mean, I know a lot of people, and I grew up in the South, so like I know a lot of people that have done something like that, like through, because a lot of companies, like the big ones, like Maker's Mark, will like let you invest, air quotes here, in a barrel so that you get it when it is ready. But yeah, it's cool that someone locally is doing that too, like at least for their family to start.
So that is actually a product that you can also buy. You can.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can pay to have your name put on a barrel, and then you will get first claim to it when they open it, and you can buy as much as you want out of that barrel.
Love it. Love that is an innovation we have brought to Western Pennsylvania. Okay, Zach, I think you've got one more on your list. What's our final stop?
So this one is unique. Very historical, though.
Okay.
So this is not actually just a distillery. This is West Overton Village. So that's going to be in East Huntington Township. All the way out
Westmoreland County?
That's Westmoreland County.
Okay. Wait a second. This is the one that's associated with Henry Clay Frick.
It is. This is where Henry Clay Frick was born.
Got it. Yeah. So this is like the Overholts, the folks over at the Frick and the historic Clayton Mansion have tried to educate us on this the last time we were there. So the Overholts, like the family, they were some of the original investors for Henry Clay Frick and like, of course, everything in the steel production and steel industry that followed.
Yeah.
It's funny that steel has whiskey to thank to some small extent.
I mean, it probably does in a lot of ways over the years if you actually think about it, from the people working in whiskey.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. But this is now a working museum?
Yeah. So you can go and you can take a tour of all the sites, the historical site that includes some historical buildings. And then they have an educational distillery on site. That's where you can taste and buy bottles. And a lot of their focus is, of course, on Monongahela rye, which they started distilling for the first time since Prohibition in 2020.
Wow. I mean, does it feel, because we talked about a lot of these spaces, you know, have had like this, like they have a lot of history and they celebrate that. Does this one feel like it's adapted to like that more modern era, or are they leaning hard into like the 18th and 19th century history?
Yeah, 100%. This is very leaning into the history of what whiskey was and what was produced there on site.
Okay, Zach, before you go, I know one of my favorite things about tours like this is that you can also like take a bottle home with you if you want to. I mean, do you have any favorites from any of these spaces, or do you have like a cocktail or something that you love to make with one of them?
Yeah, so from these, some of my favorites are Liberty Pole's rye. Just their regular rye is absolutely delicious. I love Wiggles American Rye Kilted Cask. That's rye finished in Scotch barrels. Delicious.
A little bit of smoothness, I'm betting.
Yeah, and some of that peatiness that you get from the Scotch.
Okay. The
creamy limoncello from McLaughlin's. Total left turn there, but it is so worth it.
Okay.
And then the Sauterne finished bourbon, Distiller's Reserve from Iron City, is also worth checking out.
Excellent. Zach, thank you so much for all of your expert takes here. I'm so excited we have a bartender on the team now.
I will try to treat you guys to some drinks sometime.
I'm going to hold you to that. Zach, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. You know, if you're digging the booze theme, the state's Liquor Control Board is actually doing a lottery for some really rare whiskeys right now, and from some of the most exclusive makers. So Blanton's, Buffalo Trace, Woodford, some are normal prices, but some are wild. $3,000 for a bottle of Eagle Rare, an almost $8,000 bottle of Weller. If you win, you do still have to pay for the bottle. This is not free. The deadline to enter the lottery is this Friday, so tomorrow at 5 p.m., classic Pennsylvania, to make buying a drink even more complicated. If this is for you, we will have a link in our show notes. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. We'll talk to you soon. I want a Zach specialty maple rye old fashioned. I feel like we should figure out a way to like tell I don't know, make that like a member perk or something. You know, like you could get a copy, like a written copy of Zach's maple rye old fashioned.